Donald Trump is an international disgrace, an international embarrassment, and we're seeing the Trump effect take place today in Australia. It is, in effect, there where Donald Trump has changed the dynamic of the election. In Australia, the MAGA party, there, or the MAGA party leader, a guy by the name of Peter Dutton, Timu Trump they call him, in Australia was once leading in the polls. He's from the Liberal Party in Australia, which is confusingly their Conservative Party in Australia. He was expected to become the Prime Minister there months ago, but as Donald Trump has attacked the entire world and has caused devastation to our ally, caused harm to our ally in Australia, the polls change there. The current Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, is expected to go on to keep a Labour that's like their Liberal Party, even though it's going to be the Labour Party is their more left party there, the Labour Party majority in Australia, and no one expected that to happen. If you were looking at the polls, take a look. Here, this looks very similar to what we saw in Canada. You see the blue, right? There is the Liberal block right there. And you see, based on the latest polyarchate estimation, at least as of this recording, their odds of holding on to or getting a majority, now at 4.5%, the Labour Party, 95.5% chance. There as voting is underway. Today, Saturday, May 3rd, record early voter turnout in Australia. And look, the people of Australia, like the people of Canada, by and large hate Donald Trump. I mean, just take a look, right here. They had big hands-off protests. Melbourne, Australia, a few weeks back, just a reminder. Here's what was going on there. Now, here is their MAGA candidate, Peter Dutton, in Australia. You could see him right here. He refers to the national broadcasters there as hate media. Very similar to the way Donald Trump would call the media here, or calls the media, fake media, an enemy of the people. Dutton, Timu, Trump, as they call him in Australia, the leader of the Liberal Party there, would always talk about woke, this woke, that here, let's play this clip right here.
I have no doubt in my mind that we can win this election. Forget about what you're being told by the ABC and the Guardian and the other hate media. Forget about that.
I'm looking at the YouGov polls right here. YouGov, as of this recording, predicting a 97% chance that Labour will hold on to its majority on the eve of the elections in Australia. One of the things that was uncovered as well, although the Liberal Party in Australia denies that this is taking place, but what can you say? I mean, this is what Chris Lasvita, Donald Trump's campaign manager, is on tape. He's on a Zoom saying it, apparently, that he was helping the Liberal Party in Australia. So a Trump campaign manager said, you listen to it for yourself. What he said, helping the Liberal Party in Australia, the Dutton. So now Dutton has to be like, no, we don't want anything to do with that. Here, watch this clip from 7 News Australia. Great work. 7 News, play this clip.
Anthony Albanese campaigning at a school in Perth as Donald Trump appears to make a last foray into the Australian election campaign. The Centre for Climate Reporting placing on its website undercover video of Chris Lasvita, Donald Trump's co-manager of campaigning last year at his very successful presidential campaign. Chris Lasvita claims in this video that he's been assisting the Liberal Party in campaign strategy with some of its structural issues. The claim made a couple of weeks ago suggests that the advice was coming as the Australian federal election began.
I was in Australia 2 weeks ago helping the Liberal Party there on some of their structural issues that they were having with Peter Dutton.
Now, the Liberal Party flatly denies it's engaged Chris LaCivita and says that he's had no contact with Peter Dutton. Here's what Anthony Albanese says.
The campaign of the Liberal Party has become more and more right-wing under Peter Dutton.
What to make of the Liberal Party advice? Who knows? But we can say this. Donald Trump's spectre over the Australian election campaign has not helped the Liberal Party one bit. It's been associated as being too close to him. In fact, before the election appeared to want to adopt some of his policies. That's been damaging for them almost certainly. And this reminder of Donald Trump 2 days out from the final voting day is likely to please Labor and not please the coalition at all.
Now, one of the things you'll notice as well, in the debate that took place between the MAGA candidate, Tamu Trump, Peter Dutton, and the current Prime Minister Anthony Albanese of the Labour Party, in Alban's kind of closing remarks of the debate, he was asked a question about, what do you think is some of the biggest threats? What do you worry about the most? And one of the things he said is that, take a look at Dutton. This guy spreads lies about climate change. And then one of the things that Anthony Albanese also says is we have to focus a lot in Australia on our regional partners. And notice what he says here about China too, that we have a good trading relationship with China, a good trading relationship with other Southeast Asian nations. And notice that he mentions that a lot as being a priority. And he's like, all Benny is saying, what climate change is woke, and all these, we don't need that in Australia. He goes, because our trading partners in our region also recognize that climate change is real, and it's a threat enough of this MAGA stuff. Here, play this clip.
Uncertain world that we inherit. In an uncertain times, it's the last time where you'd want to take a risk. Peter spoke about his long experience, and that's true, but that's the problem. Every Pacific leader remembers him joking about water lapping at their doors. For the Pacific Island neighbours, it's not a joke, climate change. It's something that is the entry fee to credibility in our region. With our ASEAN neighbours, I brought every ASEAN leader down to Australia last March. Every leader came here and we've developed constructive relationships. We've managed to build our relationship with Japan and Korea, including our defence relationships, at the same time as we've restored more normal relations with China, bringing back $20 billion of trade that was stopped with the impediments that were put in place. There were not even a phone call between any Australian government minister and our major trading partner during the last term of Parliament.
That's it. Thank you kindly.
Now, again, it reminds me as well, you had Mark Carney, since he's become Prime Minister, and no one expected in Canada, the Liberal Party in Canada, to go on to even hold a Liberal minority government. Everyone thought Pierre Poilievre and the Conservative Party was going to go on and win. But the Trump effect in Canada, the Trump effect in Australia, and you see how people are standing up to Trump. This is Prime Minister Carney from yesterday talking about visiting the White House, but on his own terms, and that never will he ever be agreeable to the 51st state or, anything like that. Like he's like, that's not happening. Period. Full stop here. Watch this clip of Prime Minister Carney.
In your second call with the president, did Mr. Trump outright say or insinuate at any point that Canada should become the 51st state?
He did not.
All right. We've heard Mr. Trump on April 23rd and his surrogates throughout the final days of the campaign reiterate the idea that they believe Canada should become the 51st state. On the campaign trail, you said on multiple occasions that respect for Canada would be one of the key things in terms of having a meeting with him. Do you think over the past few days we have seen respect for Canada from the Trump administration?
Look, it's always important to distinguish want from reality. La volonté et la réalité, right? What someone wants and what is reality, and what the Canadian people clearly have stated, virtually without exception, is this will never, ever happen. And
Now, one of the things I think is notable, too, to think about is there should be a easy trade deal to have with Australia. The United States does not have a trade deficit with Australia. There's an existing trade deal in place, like the fact that Trump can't even do a trade deal in Australia. As of this point, tells you what a bad deal maker Donald Trump is. And it could be that they're just waiting for the elections because they know that Donald Trump is a major factor in the elections in a bad way. But here's Justin Wolfers, economics professor at University of Michigan, and he's like, this was recorded on April 22nd, where he thought, come on, the Donald's going to be able to at least announce some deal with Australia, right? Because there's no trade deficit with Australia. There's already an existing deal. You should be able to announce this, but Donald Trump has not been able to do so. Here, play this clip.
I do want to point one thing out. At some point in the next couple of weeks, they're going to front the press and say, hey, we got a new trade deal with blank. It'll be some country. Pretty good chance it'll be Australia, actually. And they're going to say, look at this amazing trade deal we got with Australia. No tariffs with Australia. The thing I want your viewers to understand is we already had no tariffs with Australia. We had a free trade agreement. We had very close to no tariffs with Europe, with every other major trading partner, with very few exceptions. So he's going to trot out and declare victory for giving us back the economy that we had in the days before April 2.
Oh, also, going back to Canada for a second, the leader of the Conservative Party, their Timu, Trump, their Maple, MAGA Pierre, Paul lost his seat, lost his riding, as they call it, in Canada. And he bullied a member. Just this happened yesterday. He bullied someone who has a riding in Alberta, where there was an 80% Conservative vote for this other guy to forfeit his riding. So Pierre Poilievre could stay in Parliament, could stay in the House of Commons. So Pierre Poilievre took somebody's seat, which you can do in Canada. I mean, which is, fairly embarrassing, right? There, let me show you this one other clip of Peter Dutton saying, woke this, woke that. So you can see it. Let's play this clip.
How are you defining woke?
Well, I answered that question yesterday. I think the point that I see that's of interest as well is what we would do in relation to education funding and health funding. We are absolutely committed to health and education funding as the numbers appear in the budget papers. So before the Prime Minister goes off trying to scare people again, and that's what he's doing at the moment because he's trying to pick fights and he's trying to scare people, but he's, maybe good at that. I'll tell you what he's very bad at, that is helping families. Australian families.
Indoctrination was your word.
Yeah.
What topics are indoctrination that's in the curriculum?
Well, we've spoken before, and including yesterday in relation to it. I want young Australians who are going to school to get the best education they can. I don't want them indoctrinated according to the views of the lecturer at university or in relation to the views of the particular teacher. I want our kids to be taught according to community beliefs and standards, and I think that is the expectation of families. Not controversial here in the suburbs. It might be at the ABC, but not controversial here in the suburbs, and that's exactly what we're after.
Last night, a woman asked you about getting the woke agenda out of schools, and you spoke about potentially conditioning funding from schools to change their curriculums or to influence their curriculum. I think influence was the word that you used. Could I ask specifically what lessons or units you're concerned about having a woke agenda?
I want to make sure that our kids, whether they're at primary school or secondary school or indeed young Australians who are at universities, are receiving the education that their parents would expect them to receive. And our position will reflect community standards in relation to what is being taught at our schools and our universities. And you've seen some recent examples in relation to law school and the requirements being made. I think it was Macquarie University at the time. You've seen other academics who are out as part of protests on the streets and teachers similarly. That's being translated into the classroom. That's not something I support. I support young Australians being able to think freely, being able to assess what's before them and not being told and indoctrinated with something that is the agenda of others.
So I think you see the dynamic. The Trump effect is the orange stain of failure. That is Donald Trump. And no one wants to have a whiff of that grotesque odor near them at this point. And so then we move on to the other elections, right? I mean, that's why I said Canada was so big, because Canada's showing the world the way you stand up to Trump. Trust me, in Japan, they're looking at the Canadian elections and going, whoa, whoa, whoa. That whole dynamic changed. If Donald Trump disrespects and dishonors Japan on a trade deal, the governing part is going to get thrown. That's how they're seeing this across the world right now in terms of standing up to Donald Trump. We've got a Romania election. That's big. Wow. May 18th, Poland's election. May 18th, we got Portugal coming up. In May 18th, we'll cover it all here on the Midas Touch Network. All right. Shout out to the Midas Down Under in Australia. The Midas, mate in Australia. We got a great Australia fan base at the Midas. We love our Australian. Midas, mighty Midas. Mate, Midas, Down Under. You tell me, hit subscribe.